Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Thank you very much for joining me on this 31 video series I've got during July, if that makes sense. My name is Warren Bennett. We've got Trev behind me here, kind of trying to get out of this heat of the sun we've got here on this Friday, the 12th of July. So thank you very much for joining me for another video. And this video is called Bow and Go. It's a little bit corny, but if you have trouble finding the slots or getting this club in a position, especially kind of trying to drop it under plane, so if you're on over the topper, you're creating a little bit too much steep angle of attack into the ball, this is a great one. This is a great one for an all-rounder actually, because you're going to see something a lot of pros do that probably don't know a lot about. So I'm going to give you kind of a tiny little ingredient that can really help a lot of other things in your swing. So, as you know, front camera set up and we're going to get going. Okay everyone, so thanks for joining me and thanks for joining me for another video, and I really hope you're enjoying these kind of one video a day during July. If you're new to the channel, I'd love to have you along kind of a little bit more regularly if you can, so if you haven't subscribed, I'd love you to consider subscribing. That'd be a great help to me in terms of the channel and hopefully to you, someone who's watching. So being able to kind of have an influence about what this club can do can really help our golf, and I see a lot of golfers kind of cutting across the ball and kind of putting too much loft on the face. A lot of pros do the opposite. They kind of turn that 7-iron into like a 6-iron and they create that kind of crunch into the ball. And you can do that by a simple little swing kind of change that I'm going to give you here. So as you see by the thumbnail or the description, this one's called Bow and Go. It's a bit corny, but I'm going to show you the exercise. And like I said in the small little intro there, a lot of pros do this without them knowing about it. So if you're looking to kind of get this club in the slot halfway down, or get this club kind of sitting behind you, as you can see here, one of the main elements to try and achieve that is wrist position. So if your wrist is in the wrong positions, let's say halfway down, there's kind of neutral, I would say, that's pretty much on plane, I would imagine. If I cup that left wrist, look what happens to the club face. Club face opens, and more importantly, it becomes steep. If I flatten that wrist, now there's a bit of a bowing action and the club can sit behind me. Now, I would say doing that during transition and coming down is very, very hard. So, just to kind of fast track it, I would say get your position of your wrist at the top of the backswing. I would say what they say flexion, I think, or supination, pronation. I think it's pronation. But you can see at the top of the backswing there, my wrist has got this kind of bowed look to it, as you can see. If I had a cut wrist, so your wrists have somewhere to go in transition, but that's really difficult. You can do that, but that takes some time and a lot of kind of practice. So you can see like golfers like, you know, do it very extreme, and please don't do it this much, but you can see Dustin Johnson, Morikawa, Rahm, they've all got this wrist position that's kind of a little bit bowed or flat. And then you're trying to look for this kind of feeling all the way down, so you're not trying to cut this wrist on the way down. You can see what it's going to do to the club face there, and especially the club shaft, the difference in plane. Like if you're in a position with the club kind of a little bit kind of open, so I just want you to flatten your wrist, hold it, and then nice slow on the way down. So you're going to keep that bowed wrist all the way down. So you can see there, halfway down or 3/4 of the way down, I've still got some, is it flexion? Anyway, I've got a slight bow in my wrist there, and more importantly is keeping that club behind me. Cupping my wrist, you can see what it's done, it's throwing the club outside. So keeping the bow of the wrist all the way down into impact and through. Obviously you're going to have to start kind of, you don't just keep it open, you're going to have to start very late, I'd say, start rolling it, and I think that's supination, isn't it? So you've got this pronation and supination, like Hogan used to say. So you can do that little practice swing. So I would say up to the top, bow your wrist, stop, and then swing down. But at early days, I'd swing down very slow. Keep that wrist bowed, and then really you're trying to, at the very end there, you can see there's a little rotation I've got with my left wrist. But I'm not rotating it and keeping my wrists flat and straight and letting the club just flick under. There's a rotation, so you can see here without a club, I'm kind of keeping it flat, keeping it bowed, and I'm just kind of, I think, what did Hogan say? Is it like the wrist bone? Keeping it at the target, point it towards the target. The back of my hand, point it towards the target. So bend, bow there with the wrist, and then back to the target with the wrist. So there we go. So the back of the hand now faces down the line. There's no cupping at all. At the top of the backswing, whatever you've got at the top of the backswing, you're just trying to keep until about here, then just let it go. That's the key, trying to keep it as simple as possible. Introduce a ball, we're going to do it really, really slowly, but we're going to stop. You're going to feel it, look back if you want. Okay, we're going to exaggerate it, you can see the effect it has on the club face. Keep it bowed, and nice and slow. But you're really going to keep that bow of the wrist nice and light. I've got arthritis in my thumb, so it's not easy to do this. Okay, twist. If your backswing's a bit weird, you can kind of put yourself in that position, but really feel that bow. Just a little reminder, there's a right and a wrong way to do everything, so don't do it straight away from the start of the swing. Kind of do it by the time you kind of get to about here, so you're going to create that natural width by getting the width early in your backswing, and then from about here, you're kind of really feeling that bow of the wrist there. If you're unsure, just do it without a club. There we go. There we go, cup, bow. Now, I'm not a massive advocate of really keeping this bow wrist, but we're only doing this very slightly. If you can't get it to a bowed position, just get it to like a flat position, and then, but the secret now is to keep it flat. You can see from the behind view there, I'll zoom in. I'm keeping that wrist structure exactly the same. There we go, and obviously you can't play golf and swing that slowly. But if you're in your back garden, keep that wrist structure exactly the same. If I move that wrist slightly, you can see what's going to happen. So you can see a small little movement of my wrist has a massive effect of club face. So you're really delaying and keeping it back. And you're doing that by wrist angle. And you're doing that by where that wrist, if you're using a glove, and I don't use a glove, if you've got a logo on that glove, you're keeping that logo pointing at the same place all the time. And then from here, you're just letting it go. So obviously that's split second stuff. So we're really kind of bringing it down to kind of really slow movements, and then you can speed up from there. And just the more you speed up, the more trust you've got to put into it, because you can't feel it. So bow wrist, keep it the same. You can do this little pump exercise, keep it the same. You can see what that club's doing. And I'll put some pros in the slot, and it's going to look very similar to what I'm doing. Club slightly behind, especially with driver. There we go. Remember, anything new, just watch it. You don't want to put too much strain on your wrist. So just do a few swings and kind of step away. Give yourself a little shake of the wrist there. Don't put too much strain on it, because any type of change will put slight kind of emphasis on new muscles of your wrist. So be careful, because wrist can be very kind of, once you get a little tweak there, it's not very nice. But a few stretches every now and again and you'll be fine. So up to the top, keep that wrist structure the same. Keep that wrist structure the same. You can see my little statement, as you know if you've seen the channel, is find the one thing that cures for is that wrist, keeping that wrist the way it is. Look what that does to the club. Drops it on the inside, it sorts the club face out, so the club face isn't open if you're suffering from an open cut across look, and it really gets the right arm in, it delays you, so it really keeps everything in structure, keeps it in sequence. Bow, and keep it as long as you can, and then go. If you're struggling to put right to left spin on it, this could be the one for you. It's that one little tweak can really help a lot. Like I said, find the one thing that cures for. That's the secret to teaching, and that's the secret to trying to play golf without too much stress. Bow at the top, and then go. So remember, you're not looking for Dustin Johnson here. You don't want to kind of put your wrist in a really weird position, because that's really going to hurt you early doors. Like I said, if you feel like you're a little bit cuppy coming down, and if you are, you're going to be steep. If you're flat, I think it's going to be virtually impossible for you to have a steep angle of attack coming down. So I'd say the flatter you can get your wrist at the top of the backswing, remember, don't cheat. It happens from about here in your backswing, and then bow it. Keep it as flat as you can all the way down. Delay all the way down. And then you speed up. Remember, the quicker you do it, the less awareness you'll have of it. So you've just got to trust it. So put the work in the slow versions, and then after that, you should be able to trust it. The flatter and more bowed you can get that wrist, the less cut across and the less slice spin you'll put on it. Bow, and then go. Really hold that top of the backswing position. Really feel it, and then really be aware of it coming down. Because remember, the slower you have that swing, the more awareness you've got. of what's going on in your body parts. So important. And then speed up from there, and the whole idea is to kind of go on the golf course and just let it go, really. You can feel it a little bit, do a few practice swings, little pump drill, keeping it. Look where that club face drops. It has to, it can't come out here at all. So it's going to stay behind you with a neutral face as well, which is the most important thing. And it'll create a little bit more compression, distance, and then hopefully a little bit of power as well. Remember, what we do with our wrists and arms has a massive influence about what happens with that club face. Like I said just a minute ago, a small little movement of our wrists has a massive effect of what's going on with that face. So just a few kind of clicks and a few degree change here with my wrist can really shove that club in the wrong position, and vice versa. Get it in the right position and the club will take care of itself. Right, so let me know how you get on. If you've tried this in the past or you're trying it now, let me know. So as flat as you can see my thumb is kind of more of the side of the club there. Keep it there, keep it there. Look what happens to my arms, beautiful. Club stays behind me, naturally, it has to. And then when you come to full out, just go for it. That felt quite nice. I put a slow motion up for that one. Okay, so whilst that's playing, just be aware that any slight changes, any physical movements can put a little bit of kind of awareness on that area. So the wrist, you know, you don't want to end up being Dustin Johnson. That's going to put too much strain on that wrist. So a word of warning, I always show you a little bit of stream to kind of show you the effect, what it can have. Just do it nice and subtly. Okay everyone, so if you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around this long, and yeah, I hope you're really enjoying this series I'm doing during July, because it gives me the chance to kind of throw out different videos and different feelings, because not everyone has the physical capabilities to do everything that I say, and some people don't really have the time to practice, so they like the kind of the quicker swing thought, kind of what this video is. But I'd love you to give it a go, and if you do, please tell me in the comments below, and I'll read every single comment, and I'll try and get back to each and every one of you. So I really appreciate everyone's support and help that way. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'd love you to be part of this little community. It really helped me as a channel, obviously, but hopefully it'll help you as well. And every video that gets uploaded, you'll get a notification. So hopefully it'll help you as well. Okay everyone, so from a very sunny and becoming windy southeast of England, I bid you farewell. It's Friday today, so if you're playing golf over the weekend, have a great time and play well. Got another video coming out tomorrow, so I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'll have a think about it, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay everyone, have a great golfing day if you're playing, and we'll see you then. From myself and Trev, who's gone inside, we'll see you then. Cheerio.